We're here out in Valencia for the launch of Triumph's brand new Street Twin. Now we've just had a briefing, so they told us what we're going to be doing today. So we're going to start off in the city, have a bit of an urban pootle, and then head out into the hills where we can really kind of open the throttle up, see what the new engine can do. Now the funny thing is that we don't actually know too much about this bike. So they've not told us horsepower figures, we don't know how much it weighs, we don't even know what the UK price is yet. So what Triumph's letting us do is kind of feeling the bike for what it is, as opposed to going in with any preconceptions. So, as I said, we're going to be riding in the city this morning, coming back here for lunch where we're going to have a presentation, find out everything we need to know about the bike, then go back out, really try everything, try out the new electronics, see what the new 900cc engine can do, and just enjoy it. This is the first time that we actually seen this bike since we saw it released at the bike shed when Triumph rolled in all of the new Bonnevilles a few weeks ago. Now, a few points that they were keen to address were the changes obviously compared to the old Bonneville, and those were to the engine. So it's now used as a 900cc liquid-cooled engine compared to the old air-cooled parallel twin. Secondly, with the electronics package. So even though this is a completely base model, entry-level machine for Triumph, it's adorned with all the latest electronics. So it's got traction control, it's got ABS brakes as standard, so ride-by-wire throttle. And thirdly is the customization. They've got a bit of a slogan for this bike, which is built to make your own. So they've got 150 accessories that you can design. So you can change the exhaust, you can change the grips, you can change the seats. There's a load of stuff that you can throw at it to make it your own. And they've also got inspiration kits in case you're lacking a bit of inspiration and you're thinking, I want a scrambler style bike, or I want something a bit in urban enduro, or whatever you want. It's just there to inspire you. Now, we've only had about an hour on the bike this morning, and so far all the changes are really shining through compared to that old bike. The engine seems really lively. It handles extremely well for a bike of its type. I didn't expect it to handle so well, in fact. It's really comfortable. There's some massive speed bumps here in Valencia, and even when you're not standing up to kind of absorb the bumps with your knees, it handles them really well. You just go straight over them, so impressions are really good. And something that I like is that even though it's a base model and it's an entry-level machine, I'd say that that's more indicative of the price as opposed to the spec. So as we said, it's got all those electronics, it's got that new engine, but everything feels really well built, even down to small things like the footrest hangers here. They just have this really nice clonk when you click them into place. Just small things like that. The build quality is right up there with the best. We're going to head back into the mountains here because the roads are fantastic, have a bit more riding, and see what it's like compared to bikes like the Scrambler and the Guzzi V7, which is obviously the type of machine that this bike is going up against. So we've just come out of the presentation with Triumph, and they finally shed some light on some of the specs and figures that we really wanted to learn about this bike. So I think we should start with the engine because it's kind of at the core of the changes to this machine. So we already knew that it was 18% up on torque compared to the old Bonneville, but what we didn't know until just now is that it's actually down on power compared to the old one. So the new bike makes 55 horsepower, that's down 6 horsepower compared to the old one. But that's peak power. If you look at a dyno chart, it's actually up on power and torque all the way up to 5,900 RPM, and it's only after that that it starts to tail off. All that modernisation that's happened inside the engine has obviously had some other impacts on the bike. So there's 36% claimed improvement in fuel efficiency. So you're now getting 75.5 miles per gallon, supposedly. That's what Triumph are claiming at the moment. On top of that, service intervals are up from 6,000 to 10,000 miles. And despite all the water cooling, all that like extra piping that's going to come with the bike, and all the modern touches like ABS, the bike's actually down on weight too. So dry weight's now 198 kilos. Some small changes that they've also made to the bike is to make it a bit more comfortable. So there's 20% more travel in the shock, so it's not quite so stiff. There's a bit more movement when you go over those bumps. And they've also added 25% more seat foam to that seat, just to give it a bit of extra padding for the old derriere. So I'm really looking forward to going back out this afternoon now that I've got a clearer idea of all the changes, the new specs, the new figures and all that stuff. And I've heard that we're going back into the mountains where there's all the twisties. I think that means it's time to go test out the traction control. ironically, I got this helmet a couple of days before the launch to look cool. And then it came in a box, it looked awesome on the box. Took it out of the box, it looked awesome out of the box. And then I stuck it on my head and this happened. So we've just come back from our full day's riding here in Valencia, and although the sun never really came out, we've had a good play on some urban, some rural roads, a bit of everything, basically enough to put this bike through its paces and see what it's all about. One of the first things that really jumps out after a few miles of riding is just how easy it is to ride. It's got a really low seat height at 750 mils. The bars are really wide. Everything's in a really natural position, so you sit on it and you immediately feel comfortable on the bike, which is obviously going to help beginners and any rider just immediately feel at home on this machine. I find it funny that Triumph didn't mention to us until we rode the bike already this morning that the bike is actually down on power compared to last year's Bonneville. But it's quite a clever idea really, because if they told us that it was 55 horsepower and it was down around 6 horsepower compared to the old Bonnie, before we'd rode it, we'd have gone into it with all these preconceptions that it was going to be slower and a bit more rubbish. But that was literally the last thing that was on our mind when we rode the bike. You know, it's not breathless at all. It's got plenty of power. It's quite a zippy engine. It spins up really quickly. It feels like it's got a very light crankshaft. So it's quite alive and exciting to ride. It doesn't feel like an old air-cooled parallel twin like the old bike, where it's slow and burbly. This one still has that character, still kind of has that heritagey feeling of the old school stuff, but it's just that bit more modern, it's a bit more alive, it's a bit more fruity, and it's a bit more eager to get off the mark. And on top of that, everything is now modernised to get through that Euro 4 regulation rubbish that is just a pain in the arse at the moment. So you get ABS brakes as standard, there's a ride-by-wire throttle. Obviously the engine's had all its tweaks to get through the noise and the exhaust emissions. You get a slipper clutch on it, which makes two big differences. Number one, I don't think Triumph will like me doing this, but I was in 5th gear today and I'd bang it down to 1st gear just to see if the rear wheel would lock up, and you'd get a tiny judder and it would sort out everything else. And the second benefit is that it allows the clutch to be a bit thinner and designed in a slightly different way, so that the clutch lever has a really, really light pull. These new Street Twins come in 5 different colour options. So this one's the cranberry red, it's got rim tape. There's another aluminium silver edition, which also comes with the tank striping and the rim tape. And then there's 3 different black models. So there's a matte black, a jet black, and then a phantom black, they're calling it, which has metallic flake in it. Now they start at £7,300, so that's like pretty competitive when you consider that the Scrambler from Ducati starts at about 6,995, but goes up to 7,995, I think it is, for the urban enduro model. So it's slap bang in the middle of all those, competitive pricing. And if you compare it to the Ducati, this has got more electronics, it's got a more advanced engine, it's water cooled instead of this old 796 engine used in the Scrambler. I think I speak for everyone when I say that we've all been looking forward to these bikes for a long, long time. I mean, I was talking to someone at the NEC a few days ago at Motorcycle Live, and a Triumph guy said to me that they'd sold 150,000 Bonnies in the 30 or 40 years that they've been around, which is just testament to the fact of how cool they are. And when you consider that this is the most modern one, all the modern touches, the electronics, the new engine, and on top of that, that low price, which is going to just put it slap bang up against the Scrambler and the Guzzi V7, both of which are brilliant bikes. And I think this one really holds its own compared to them. I cannot see this being anything other than a big sales success.